Okay, hi everyone. I think we'll just start the meeting. We've got lots and lots of people joining us, so we'll just keep going and everyone should be joined soon enough. So just to say good afternoon to everyone and thank you so much for joining. My name is Adele. I'm Head of Communications at Rehab Group. We're thrilled to welcome you today to this very special webinar. It's on overcoming school and college avoidance with the National Learning Network. We decided to do this webinar in response to a significant rise in students who feel unable to return to school or college that are coming to us and presenting to LNN for a variety of reasons, and that's continued since lockdown was lifted. LNN can make a significant impact on the lives of students through providing person-centred support to individuals who face challenges in mainstream education settings. Basically, they do this by prioritising development of essential life skills, comprehensive mental health supports, and enhanced employability. Our goal is simple, really. It's to meet people where they're at and support them to progress to where they want to be. So I'm delighted to welcome you all today, and particularly our presenters. We've got educational psychologist Lorna O'Connor. She'll talk through the complexities of school and college avoidance and how LNN can help. Amanda Gretsch is Student and Recruitment and Marketing Officer with Roslin College, who will talk about the process of how LNN can support people who are struggling to complete their education. And two fantastic students, one of which we're struggling to get on board, but hopefully we'll get them, Miholo Failon and Kira O'Regan, who will give their personal testimony and how LNN can support them to reach their own personal goals. So just to say, there'll be a chat box on the right hand of the screen soon for your questions. So please feel free to type in anything at all you want to ask, and we'll get to as many of those at the end. And if you have any other queries then afterwards, you can always email info@lnn.ie. And we've very active social media accounts as well. You'll see at the end, you might join. So let's begin. First, we're going to hear from Lorna O'Connor. If we have your presentation ready.
Hi everyone, my name is Lorna O'Connor and I'm a psychologist working with the National Learning Network. I hold a Bachelor of Education in Primary School Teaching, a Bachelor of Science in Psychology, and I've also recently completed the Professional Educational Psychology Doctorate. My professional background includes working in various schools across Dublin, in both mainstream and special education settings, including reading schools, and I've worked both as an SNA and a teacher in those settings. Throughout my career today, I've supported families and schools in facilitating the return of children and young people to schools, providing supports, interventions and guidance. My training has involved working in diverse settings, including disability services, primary care and in National Educational Psychological Service. Within the NLN, I support students in various education settings through assessments and developing support plans and education and accommodations for students across primary, post-primary, third level and other educational settings. So the NLN provides courses in 84 locations across 33 centres throughout Ireland in every county. We're funded primarily by the HSE and 16 education and training boards. We offer 54 nationally recognised awards from levels 2 to 5 on the National Framework of Qualification. We have almost 800 specialists and experienced staff to support students, including trainers, student support officers, rehabilitation officers, resource teachers in both literacy and numeracy support, and chartered psychologists. Of the students who complete their training, only over 90% progress to either higher levels of FET, higher education, or jobs. The NLN supports diverse student population, including people with intellectual disabilities, physical and sensory disabilities, mental health conditions, neurological conditions, specific learning difficulties, long-term health conditions, and autism. Our students range in age from 16 upwards, with 47% aged 18 to 24 and a further 24% in the 25 to 34 age category. In addition to this, NLN's Educational Psychological Support Service and Private Assessment Service provides special student support services in 17 universities and colleges of further education and training in Ireland. We support students with complex mental health conditions and a wide range of disabilities. You can see some of the colleges and universities that we support on the slide here. So understanding school and college avoidance in the context of mental health issues. So the pandemic has exacerbated mental health issues among students, leading to an increased school and college avoidance. The pandemic's disruptions, closures of social and educational settings, and a shift to online learning have significantly impacted the development of essential skills like social interaction and resilience. This skill loss has contributed to the rise in school and college avoidance, as students may feel less equipped to handle traditional learning environments. Anxiety and depression levels have also increased in students, and that makes it challenging for them to engage in academic activities. At the NLN, we've observed a notable increase in school and college avoidance across our centres throughout Ireland. This trend has also been evident in the universities and other higher education institutions that we support. Additionally, we are experiencing a rise in referrals from parents who are seeking assistance to help their children and young people reintegrate into education in a way that meets their individual needs. So the effects of school and college avoidance. The shift to online learning and the lack of regular interaction with educators and peers have led to a decreased engagement and motivation. Students who've struggled to stay engaged during this period are now more likely to avoid school or college as they feel overwhelmed or disheartened by their academic performance. Extended absences and gaps in learning have made it harder for students to catch up, contributing to a cycle of avoidance as they become increasingly anxious about falling behind or not meeting academic expectations. Social isolation makes it challenging for students to reintegrate into social settings. The discomfort and anxiety associated with returning to in-person learning can lead to avoidance behaviours as students struggle to reconnect and build relationships. The extended period of reduced social interaction has impeded the development of critical social skills. Students who feel awkward or unprepared for social interactions are more likely to avoid school or college environments where these skills are necessary. Continuous avoidance of educational settings can contribute to a deterioration in mental health, worsening anxiety, depression, and overall well-being. Students experiencing heightened anxiety and depression may avoid school or college as a way to cope with their emotional struggles. Students who don't receive adequate support may withdraw from educational settings, feeling that they cannot handle the pressures of academic and social demands. The cumulative effects of school and college avoidance can have significant long-term consequences on career prospects. Students who missed out on crucial educational experiences and skill development may face challenges in entering the workforce or pursuing higher education. Persistence avoidance affects personal growth, including self-confidence and problem-solving abilities. Students who feel they have missed out on essential developmental experiences may struggle with self-doubt and reluctance to engage in educational settings. So identifying the signs of school and college avoidance. Irregular attendance and frequent absences may signal school avoidance and underlying issues. You may also notice an increased irritability, withdrawal, or agitation, and this can indicate distress related to school. Avoiding school discussions or showing negative emotions about education may also signal avoidance, and a declining performance in academics, disengagement, or dropping grades can suggest school avoidance. So support systems. At the NLN, we actively include parents in the development of educational programs for young people aged 16 to 18. This collaborative approach ensures that the programs are tailored to their needs and the goals of the student, with the support and insights of their parents. For students aged 18 and older, involvement in educational planning becomes a personal choice, and students have the option to decide whether or not they wish to include their parents in their educational journey. At the NLN, we have smaller class sizes, on average about 12, which allows students to build connections with peers who have had similar experiences. Smaller class sizes are also less intimidating for young people who might already be struggling. The core mission of the NLN is to equip young people with essential life skills and coping mechanisms. These skills are designed to support their future educational endeavours and career opportunities, ensuring that they're prepared for success beyond their current educational setting. So building resilience and coping skills. So techniques like deep breathing, mindfulness, and time management can help to reduce anxiety and boost well-being. Building adaptive skills, increasing positive mindsets, and problem-solving abilities. Also, some coping strategies that can be helpful include journaling, art therapy, and physical activities to help students manage stress and express their emotions. We would also encourage regular exercise, adequate sleep, healthy eating, and social connections to support overall well-being. The NLN adopts a personable approach. So we identify needs, strengths, and holistic supports. The student voice is at the centre of the educational process in the NLN. We can make recommendations for in-class assignments and exam supports accommodations depending on the person. We also offer a safe space for students to discuss concerns and receive tailored mental health support. Our small class sizes, like I mentioned already, enable teachers to build strong relationships with students, gaining a deep understanding of their individual strengths and areas of need. Through a collaborative team approach, NLN staff effectively identify when students may require additional support, and this ensures timely interventions and personalised assistance. We also adopt a multidisciplinary approach, teaching staff, psychologists, advocacy officers, resource teachers, and transition facilitators. The NLN provides students with a safe space and a sense of belonging, a listening ear, and validation of feelings and fears. We use strategies such as empathy and active listening to help students feel valued and understood. We also signpost students to relevant external support services if necessary. At the NLN, we also use a universal design for learning approach. This is an evidence-based educational framework that guides the development of flexible learning environments. The NLN reduces significant barriers for students with support needs by ensuring that teaching methods, materials, and assessments are accessible to all. We integrate technology-enhanced learning to enrich educational experiences and support diverse learning needs. We actively encourage the use of assistive technology to remove barriers, providing students with the tools they need to engage fully and succeed in their learning journey. This approach allows for personalized learning experiences and makes education more inclusive and effective. The NLN also creates a supportive environment that addresses the educational and psychological needs of students experiencing school avoidance. So just a short student example. So student A had been at home for 2 years and showed no eye contact at the initial meeting, and her mother spoke for her. She started to attend the NLN for short periods in the classroom and gradually increased this to whole days. During this time, she not overcame her initial challenges, but she also discovered her creative flair. She organised a craft fair and designed her own products. And she's now moved on to a level 5 course and enjoys going on social outings with the friends she made in the NLN. So NLN strategies for supporting students with school and college avoidance. So things I've mentioned already. Understanding the root causes of school and college avoidance is essential for developing effective support strategies. Collaborative efforts involving educators, psychologists, and families can make significant impact on student well-being and success. Interdisciplinary collaboration among teachers, psychologists, and rehabilitation officers provide holistic support for students experiencing school and college avoidance. Consistent and ongoing support is crucial for students with school and college avoidance. Implementing a structured system of support that includes regular check-ins, access to psychology-informed support, and academic accommodations can help students overcome challenges and thrive in their educational environment. The NLN is dedicated to guiding students as they explore their next steps, whether it's pursuing further education, apprenticeships, or employment. We provide tailored support to students to successfully transition to their chosen paths. Students often forge meaningful, lasting connections, friendships, and professional connections at the NLN that they continue to benefit from as they progress in their careers and educational journeys. As I mentioned at the beginning, the NLN extends its support beyond our centres, and our educational psychological support services offer support in 17 universities and colleges of further education and training across Ireland, which ensures continued support for students as they advance in their academic and career pursuits.
Thank you very much for that. Now we'll move on to Micheál Fuela, and I hope he's on there, who is going to give a very powerful testimony of his own experience of joining NLN and how it has supported him. If you want to work away, Micheál.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Micheál. I'm 18 and I'm a student at the National Learning Network in Waterford. Many of you watching today are having problems with school avoidance for lots of reasons, whether it's anxiety and depression, bullying, heavy workload, family troubles, stress, or simply just mental health difficulties. After the COVID-19 pandemic began, my mental health took a downfall, and in November 2020, at age 14, I was diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder. When school returned, I found it impossible to fit in. I couldn't make friends, the classrooms felt too packed, noises were affecting me to the point where I couldn't focus, and school was getting harder and harder to attend. The situation peaked for me when I went into fifth year. Most of my classmates stayed in transition year, so I didn't know much of the people in my new classes. Rapidly, the new workload of leaving such subjects caused me stress to the point I was burned out and I wouldn't go to school for weeks at a time. In January of last year, I left school at 17 without any junior or leaving certificate, and I could see no future. I was lost. A family friend told us about the National Learning Network, and we rang the centre manager to arrange an interview. I started on sample in February to see how I liked the retail skills course, and within a few days I settled in and I got the place on the programme. The workload is well organised, spaced out, and relevant to your career and skills, and I was able to progress through the modules at my own pace. Most NLN courses involve work experience or community placement, which gives you valuable on-the-job experience working in your chosen sector and lets you meet new people and explore your career options. The NLN also has small class sizes, usually less than 14 compared to around 30 in school. That way it's easiest to settle into your class and you get to know people and make friends quickly. Individualized student supports are also proven to be beneficial to students, especially those with intellectual disabilities such as autism. With monthly check-ins, numeracy and literacy supports, and a psychologist in centre, to name a few. I have now completed my course in retail sales and I have a Leaving Cert equivalent level 4 qualification. I now hope to progress to a level 5 course in special needs assisting so I can provide students with support who are experiencing the same problem I did. I am so thankful that I chose National Learning Network, which has helped me to make friends, develop myself personally, and gain skills and a qualification, which gives me so much more opportunities than I had when I joined. Thank you.
Thanks so much for that, Micheál. That was really, really helpful. And now we'll just move on quickly to Amanda Gretsch, our Student Recruitment and Marketing Officer. If you want to take it away, Amanda.
Hi, thanks, Ida. Welcome, everybody. And that was a very inspiring chat, Micheál. So I'll try and follow that. So, as Adele said, my role in National Learning Network is recruiting students, really in a position of helping and assisting anybody that contacts National Learning Network. So that could be a parent, an applicant, an occupational therapist, a school liaison officer, a doctor, anybody that is interested in finding out more about us would possibly come through myself, especially in the Dublin area. And once you contact me, that's when I will arrange for what way will suit you to give you more information. And this then is explored with the applicant. Just to say, when somebody contacts me, they might come through the website, which is National Learning Network, or they could come to an information session or an email. So whatever way you reach out to us, we will contact you back in a form that suits you. So some people might just prefer a text. Some people might prefer a call on loudspeaker or a Teams call. So whatever way suits the individual that is applying, we will meet you wherever you're at. So just to give you an idea of the profile, the age range is from 16 to 65. And I guess throughout National Learning Network, all of our ETB, Education Training Board funded courses are from age 16. Our HSE courses are from age 18. And I guess over the years, we are finding that more young adults are either mainstream school isn't an option for them, and we are an option. So the age profile is from 16 upwards. And the eligibility criteria is that for anyone applying, they come under the umbrella of disability. So whether that's physical, mental health, learning, and I guess today we're speaking about school avoidance. So there could be a diagnosis of anxiety, depression, autism, a number of different areas which would prevent a person from attending full time. Also, you'd find a number of applicants that have been recently diagnosed, and that's very daunting. And I guess we would be a place that somebody like that would come and discuss, I suppose, the challenges around that. I guess looking at National Learning Network, what is it? What do we do? And how do we do it, more importantly? So if you look at the research, the first 6 months of somebody attending, whether it's mainstream or somewhere like us, which is specialist training, is that person has a sense of belonging. So it's really important that when somebody attends somewhere, they have a sense of belonging. They can find others that they identify with. There's a lot of peer support when you come to any National Learning Network Centre, where in mainstream you might have been the minority where you couldn't find others that you could identify with. Now when you come to one of our centres, you're going to find many students on the courses that are exactly have the same challenges that you might have, or having to overcome the same barriers that you might have had to overcome in the past. And this is the shared experience that you would experience as a team. As such, you're finding your tribe, you're finding, I know Michal had mentioned friends and networks, and you're finding people that you can identify with and make friendships with. Health and social gains is a big part of what we do in National Learning Network. So we're not just looking at the person through a lens of vocational ability and what they can achieve vocationally, but also equally as important is independent living skills, confidence building, self-esteem. So all the areas that make all of us, a person that can go into education or work, etc. And we embrace diversity in every centre, spanning across gender, ethnicity, age profiles, social and economic background. So you will see that in any centre that you visit. Okay, so really the most important thing is, how can we help? When we really understand when somebody picks up the phone to us or reaches out, that might be a huge achievement for that person. That is the first thing they've done. So taking that step to reach out is really very important, and we don't take that lightly. So when you reach out, so I would look after all the centres under Roslin College, and Roslin College is the flagship of National Learning Network, the biggest site. We have 5 sites in Dublin. So let's say you'd reach out to me. I will suggest that we have a one-to-one meeting. We can have that at one of our campuses. If that doesn't suit, you would like a Teams meeting. If you want to speak to me on loudspeaker, that's perfectly fine. If you want a teacher sitting with you while you're speaking, or a parent. So I suppose the point I'm getting is, whatever way you want to communicate to us, is we will go at your pace, and we will honour and try and facilitate whatever way that is. It's a very gentle step-by-step process, and we will give you a gentle introduction to the college or the centre of your choice. So for instance, you might just be asking or exploring what is available, and we might invite you in for a cup of coffee or a cup of tea and have a chat. So it's very informal, very gentle, to see really where your interests are, what courses would you like, and what have you done previously, what are you doing currently, and that would give us a good idea of where you're at also. Okay, sorry, I'm getting mixed up with the slides. So the supports while you're engaging, I know Lorna went through a lot of supports, and really what we have is we have a multidisciplinary team, so that the minute you come to any National Learning Centre, it's like a one-stop shop. So you have your instructor, rehabilitation officers and psychologists, and they're there for any psychological support you might need, whether that's strategies around managing anxiety, stress, how to improve confidence. So they're there on hand to speak with you and meet with you and look again at all of the areas that you might need support in. And we have something that's quite unique to us, which is an individual action plan, an IAP. And every person attending NLN has a specific one to them. So no two are the same, it's bespoke. And it's where the student will tell us what goals they would like to achieve over a 4-month period. And then they're reviewed each month. And like any goal, those goals can change, but you have a visual trend or a visual of the goals you've achieved and what you're working on. It says take time out if needed. What that means, I guess, if you were in mainstream, and this is quite important, I suppose, what we do, we can give you the same certification that you'd get in any mainstream. But really what's important is the way we do it. So the way we do it is very different. So for instance, if you were in mainstream and let's say you became unwell or you needed to attend to something of a personal nature and you needed to drop out, in mainstream you'd come back and you'd play catch up and you'd catch up on what you've missed, and you'd possibly have to start in the next term. With National Learning Network, it doesn't work like that. We are there for you even when you need to maybe exit for a little while. And then when you come back, you pick up exactly where you left off. So you haven't missed anything. It's your personal journey that you're on and your educational journey. So you pick up where you left off. Another aspect is continuous intake. You'd be amazed that not everybody wants to do a course on the first week of September. People want to do courses throughout the year, and we can accommodate that. So whatever week it is that you'd like to do a course, you would come and meet with somebody like me or another staff member in another centre, and I'll go through the process of what happens after that. So how then from your initial interest, how then do you become a student on a course? But really, if you keep in mind every week of the year, you can start in National Learning Network. Obviously not Christmas, but within every week of the year. So this is the process, and it's right throughout National Learning Network. The same process applies, the application process. So again, a call, whatever way you want to reach out, and we are very mindful that somebody may not have left the house and they may not have attended school. So we will meet whatever suits you. I think I've explained that, so I won't go over it again. So whatever way it suits to express your interest. Forms are sent out to you. I can physically give them to you, post them, email. And then when the forms come back, you may meet the psychologist just to ensure we are the right service and we have all the supports. And sometimes the individual really wants to speak with a rehabilitation psychologist to get some assistance even with course selection. And what we have, and I noticed Michal had mentioned a sample, we have a taster day. So every National Learning Network will give you a taster day where you're dipping your toe into the course and just seeing, is it the right fit for you? And this is particularly beneficial for somebody who hasn't been attending school, because it's a nice, gentle introduction to a centre or to the course of your choice. After that, then its start date is offered, and as I said, you can start on most weeks of the year, which is really flexible for the individual. They don't feel pressure to start on a given particular month, which is positive for them. I think the next slide, I just wanted to give people an idea that are on the webinar today, the type of applicants that apply to us. So I just, this is over the last 6 months, these are 3 applicants that would have applied. So let's say student X was at home for 2 years and not attending school. It was just an initial call. It could have been from a parent, or more school liaison officers are contacting me nowadays with an intervention for people to start or rejoin school. So we would do initial call, probably only last a couple of minutes. It might even only be explaining the person's name and or a few interests. But then another follow-up call that might be a bit longer in time. It could be followed up even with the Teams meeting. And then there would be a suggestion, there would be, because the person might find it difficult on public transport. By the time I speak to the person the next week, they might have done a trial run to try public transport. That trial run could be only 3 stops on a bus and then back home, but that's perfectly fine. It's a very gentle, easy introduction to coming back into education. Also invite in for a cuppa, like just it doesn't really, no specific agenda when you're coming, just that you come in and have a chat and we can do a little bit of exploring if you would like of a particular course. This particular student did visit the classroom, probably only for a couple of minutes, and that's perfectly okay, and then came back to for the information session. I guess this case study in this particular student is highlighting the very gentle way and of which somebody is reaching out to us. Okay, the next, there might be another one there. Okay, so for this particular student, there was a parent even. So this is where I'm invited in to talk to the school, to give the school more information, or the parents, in fact. So that parents are attending information, they know about National Learning Network and what we do. And the guidance counsellor invited me in to speak to different parents and to meet sometimes the parent and the student of the school that may have been, they're not attending and they're due, they're going to drop out and they need a more appropriate service that suits their young adults' needs. So that's where I would come in and meet with the parent, informal chats, very informal. It's really just a fact-finding mission for the parent as such. And then you're building up to short engagements. So just very short times when somebody would come in, and each time a person gets on that bus or visits the centre, they're building their confidence. And just to know that when a person would start with us, they would have a buddying up system as well. So they have somebody that they would buddy up with in our centres. Last case study, I think. Okay, so this is coming from the other end. This is somebody that has actually, they aren't in secondary school. They've actually gone on to college, but possibly they needed more intervention before they went to that step. We would be a bridge, and I would see us as a bridge between secondary school sometimes and college, where somebody would come to us for a year or two before they'd go to third level. And when they're struggling in third level, they would need time out, and so they would come to us to build on their self-esteem, to build, which Lorna spoke about, coping strategies around managing their mental health, and then to re-engage in third level in the future. So that is another case study of a particular student that particular applicant that would apply to National Learning Network. So it's not one size fits all. Thankfully, we're all different, and that makes for all the richer experience. So we've many different applicants applying to National Learning Network. This is what makes us different. So as I said, the certificate that you get in any of our National Learning Network centres is exactly the same as you'll get in any further education training centres also. So there's no difference. But how we deliver our training is very different. Lorna had mentioned small classes. So our ratio is either 10 or 12 to 1. So for every 10 students or 12 students, depending on if it's an introductory skills training or specific skills training, you have one facilitator, one instructor. So there's much more one-to-one time with your instructor, where in mainstream you're coming from 26, 27 per teacher. So you have more one-to-one time. You learn at your own pace. So whatever course you're going to do in National Learning Network, there's 8 modules. Whether you work on 4 in the first year and 4 in the next year, that's perfectly fine. Another student would work on 2 the first year and maybe 6 the next year. The point that I'm making is you don't have to keep up with the group. It's your individual journey while you're with us, and we take the lead from your pace. So there isn't any pressure to do anything in a given time. It's a relaxed, flexible atmosphere in every centre that you're going to attend to in National Learning Network. Another thing that makes us really different is more time. So you've more time to do your course, either 18 months or 2 years. If you go to mainstream, you'd be starting in September and finish in June. So you've much more time. Tailor-made plans, I've explained already, individual action plan, which makes it again more specific to the individual. I don't want to be going over stuff, but I think that is the gist of what we do, or my role as student recruitment. If you need any information, I mean, I am in Roslin College. You can look me up, email me, ring me, and you don't even have to be in Dublin. I would contact or get back to anybody that reached out.
Thank you so much for all of that. That was really, really helpful, Amanda. I'm sure it's really helpful to everybody listening there. So just finally, we're bang on time for once, which is good. So we'll just quickly go through Ciara O'Regan's experience, which is slightly different from Mihál's, which gives people another perspective. And then we'll have a quick few questions at the end and we'll let people go. So thanks a million. You can just unmute yourself there, Ciara.
So my name's Ciara. I'm studying the employer-based training course in Bantry. And I'll start off with a little quote from Albert Einstein. Commit yourself to lifelong learning. The most valuable asset you have is your mind and what you put into it. So a little background about myself. I wasn't great in school. I managed to scrape by and get a leaving cert, but I didn't know what the future held for me. I studied to work in the private security sector, working in clubs and festivals all over the country, but I wasn't fulfilled. I then went on to try a myriad of different jobs, from being a fishmonger to being a butcher to doing bar work. I decided when COVID hit that I'd go back to education. Got a job in Aldi, a level 6 business. From there, I got a job in a bank. Still though, not really having a career or any goals for the future, or wanting to know or knowing what I wanted to be when I grew up. It was September 22 when I lost my dad, and by February 2023, I completely lost my direction in life. Just before I finished up my job in the bank, I saw an ad for courses in Bantry, so I just applied, not really knowing what was in store for me. I got a phone call a few weeks later from Claire, and she explained what they offer in NLN. The opportunity was too good to pass up, and I needed the support that NLN were offering. In March, I met with Claire in a local cafe, and I was in a rough state. I was still grieving from the loss of my father and the loss of my future career. I began the WRAP program, Wellness Recovery Action Plan, where I met other students in the centre, and we all connected through anecdotal sharing of experiences. The WRAP program was a great start on my journey with NLN, and it gave me the tools and confidence to get up in the morning and start making a schedule for myself. The lessons I learned through the WRAP program will stay with me for life as I navigate through my battle with my personal mental well-being. After this, we had a Pride Day in the centre, where students and teachers learned together about the importance of pride, and the celebrations were really beautiful, with some of the students sharing their own stories. We also had some speakers that had a connection with the centre in the past, which was so uplifting. The support system and caring atmosphere gave everyone the space to share and ask questions openly. Then I met with Claire a few times to begin job hunting and figuring out my goals. I reckon she must have been reeling from our conversations. I started off wanting to work in health and safety, where I was shown multiple routes into the sector. The centre even facilitated a basic first aid course, where many of the students learned how to bandage people up and how to put somebody in the recovery position. I then decided I wanted to be an electrician, which Claire, again, did everything she could to facilitate my change of direction. I remember her asking me, "Are you sure?" I was all gung-ho for this. I went to a career day with the centre, and there were lots of supports and services in place to begin a trade. There are so many supports and services in place out there for somebody that really wants to change their career. The hardest part is picking one. I was back to square one because I didn't really know what I wanted again. This is where I began to voice my concerns about possibly having ADHD, which has bothered me for some years. A psychologist who works with NLN met with me and went through these concerns with me. She gave me lots of tools to help me navigate the world of diagnoses and gave me information about ADHD, which has helped me down that path. The more I understood about myself, the more I leaned into what I really wanted. Eventually, to Claire's delight, I'm sure, I decided that the one theme that had always been in the back of my mind is I wanted to help people. I got a job part-time at the weekends and went on work experience, volunteering in the community, which Claire facilitated through a contact of hers, and I haven't looked back since. I've also completed a course in substance use issues and community work, level 5 in College of Commerce, which worked well with my timetable, and NLN have supported me in this education also. The support I've received from Claire in whichever decision I've made is fantastic, and the guidance from her and other staff members in NLN has given me a security blanket to try new things. Having the willingness to try new things and fail is a part of life, and the more we fail, the more we learn. Being comforted by the fact that I have somebody in my corner helping me to self-advocate and make decisions gives me the confidence I need going forward. The most important thing that I'm getting from NLN is a sense of community within. The tutors and the students have a great relationship, and you can hear banter and laughter from every classroom going through the halls. They cater to people from all walks of life and meet you where you're at in your life through inclusion and understanding. The support in my journey of self-discovery and the friendships I've mustered have brought me into a new chapter where I have clear goals and a bright future and a career to look forward to. He who laughs most learns best, by John Cleese. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was excellent, Ciara, and thank you to all our speakers. So we just have a few questions now, so if people want to stay on, we won't be much longer, about 5 minutes. So I think if all our presenters can please turn their cameras on so we can communicate and answer questions now, that'd be great. So I think Ciara Heffernan, is there somewhere, might just call out a few questions for the guys. Ciara, if you can.
Hi everyone. Yeah, we've got a few questions in. We'll try to answer as many as possible. We may not have all the answers, but we'll endeavour to get back to anyone if we don't have the answers right now. There's a question about continuous intake and something that Amanda touched on about taking time out if a student from the course if a student needs it. So the question is about how does that fit in with the students' assessments and quality assurance requirements. I'm not sure if Anne-Marie or Amanda would be able to answer that question. If one of you would be able to
Either
give
of
it a
us will
shot.
take it.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Whoever
Anne-Marie.
wants to, yeah. Just to kind of, I suppose, speak about time out. It's really when somebody comes to us, there are some times where somebody may become unwell and need to leave our service for a short time until they become well or get the support they need. And it was really just highlighting that we offer that flexibility that when you come back, you don't have to play catch up of what you've missed because you're literally picking up where you've left off, and that's a difference. And that flexibility and that safety, I suppose, for the student, knowing that that is available is important. So that's the time out piece. Continuous intake, we take people every week of the year, and absolutely it's all in line with our QA standards and ETB, and that is our we're a specialist training provider that is funded from Education Training Board, and our we are continuously in assessing throughout the year. So that's fine. That flexibility really needs to be there for our students because they're not starting. We don't have one huge group starting on one particular day. And so that's how we can do that. And that environment is very welcome from our applicants and students. I hope
Thanks,
that
Amanda.
answers that.
That's brilliant. Thanks so much, Amanda. We have a question here about if a student is attending NLN and is also seeking or receiving support from CAFS, does the support transfer or are both maintained? does the student have to leave one in order to gain support from NLN, or vice versa? I don't know if Lorna would be able to answer that question, maybe.
Yeah, I'm
Lauren,
happy
do you want me to
so.
take that one from a centre perspective?
Yeah, if you'd like.
Don't we? Sorry.
Thanks.
So, I suppose CAMS is obviously working with the children and adults, and everybody will have spoken about the multidisciplinary supports that are available. In addition to multidisciplinary, we would also be very strong on interdisciplinary. So when we meet a young adult who perhaps is connected to the children and adult mental health services, our psychologist will frequently connect with those teams within the community, because we don't want a person. Sometimes people feel that there's lots of assessments going on and everybody's asking me the same questions, so that we try to share information to help the person best put their plan and put the supports in place. So we always encourage people to maintain whatever supports they have in the community. So when they're with the children and adults mental health services, we support them in maintaining those contacts. Obviously, as the child or adolescent moves to 18 plus, the CAMS then support them to maintain contact with the adult mental health services. So when we're working with somebody, then we will change our support, and then we will start linking with the adult mental health services. So yeah, and I think the other important thing about National Learning Network is, while we can be with us for up to 2 years, sometimes a little bit more, we really place a lot of emphasis on you keeping and maintaining your supports that are there. So I hope I've answered it. Everything is, like, I think Amanda referenced it before, everything's kind of one-to-one on a case-by-case basis, but that's kind of generally the headlines about how we support maintaining contacts with clinicians outside our services.
Thanks, Anne-Marie. And while we're with you, we have another question. Quite a few people have a very similar question about the age profile for NLN students. A lot of people have younger teenagers from age 13 up to 16. And what are the options for them out there? Or is there any plans for NLN to take on those students at that age?
I think, and Amanda will probably, it resonates probably as well with her. I think she's getting a lot of phone calls as well from people who are a little bit younger. And we touched on it at present. We, with our HSE funded services, we work with people from 18 plus. In relation to anything that's funded by the Education and Training Boards, we can only work with people when they're 16 onwards. However, it's when you hear when Amanda described, you know, how people can make a phone call, or mum and dad can make a phone call, or can you come into an open day? Can you come in and have a look at our centre? All of that, you know, sometimes we're meeting people when they're kind of 15 plus, and mum, dad, and everybody has made a decision that perhaps the school option is not going to work from 16 plus on. So, but unfortunately at this time, 16 is the youngest that we are working with people. So unfortunately, I don't have a better answer on that. But please, before 16, you're welcome to come in, as Amanda said, that cup of tea, cup of coffee, have a look around the centre, and always happy to take a phone call.
That's brilliant. Thank you very much.
Just to jump at the end of that, from what everything Anne-Marie said, you know, every year parents are contacting me about young teenagers under 18 and under 16. So it wouldn't be unusual, Ciara, for a family to come in with without their son or daughter, age 15, age 14, just to look at our service. They're thinking ahead, they're planning ahead. So, and they're thinking of us as a viable option, and that's perfectly okay. But it's just students don't start with us until 16. So we're not trying to, and we're very welcome to look for information. But that's age 16 is what is the start of the age group. Yeah.
Okay, that's brilliant. Thanks so much. Amanda, I might stick with you for this question as well. Is there any remote working options for students at NLN, or is it all fully in the classroom?
Okay, so thanks. All these questions are great, by the way. Thank you to everyone that has sent them in. So look, when we were in COVID, remote, everybody was learning from home or from wherever they were. At the moment, our training time is in person for 30 hours a week, Monday to Friday. But what I will say is this is a question I get asked quite often about, can I work, can we work from home, or can we do 3 days at home? And what I would say is, as Anne-Marie said, we work with individuals on a case-by-case basis. It's a very, I hope I got across the gentle introduction to every centre. So ETB and our funders would understand that for some people it's a huge step to even make it to the centre to inquire or to ask for information. So if there needs to be a transition plan where you're staggering, so it's a staggering of hours to build up to full time, well then we can go to our funders and ask for permission. So we look at every individual on a case by case basis. So there isn't a full working from home or a part-time, but there is a phase staggered transition to coming to the centre. We understand it takes a lot of confidence and courage. So we will work around that person, if that answers. It's not a clear cut, I know, yes or no, but it's like we will do whatever we can do to assist you.
And
So
I think
hope
as
that helps.
well, sometimes when people are asking us that question, it's because that school, that rigidity about going into school Monday to Friday. But I think from Micheál and Ciara, you'll see that you heard about the flexibility. I know Ciara said she's now on employer-based training. And I think that's something else that we also should share a little bit more about. Like, we've really great links with employers. We've over 700 employers nationally who we work in relation to work experience placement. So sometimes people, it's the in centre doesn't really suit them. They prefer to be more hands-on, but we can link people with employers around the country where we support them to learn while training with us as well. I think that's a really nice option for some people to explore their interests. And Ciara gave great examples about jumping to different occupations, but learning each time there's a jump. So we are more than happy and delighted to help people make those jumps and, as Ciara described, just learn from them and then finally find the right path.
Can I just interject there?
Of course.
I was just going to say, like, the structure in the employer-based training course is great. Like, for me especially, being able to work alongside it, and you know, I can still volunteer as well. But we were only in the centre 1 day a week. But we have, like, you know, all of the training hours that you rack up, you know, and like I'm doing courses, so I'm doing a train the trainer course at the moment. Like, that's been funded through NLN as well. And that's a huge thing. Like, you know, I wouldn't be able to afford that on my own. With the support of NLN, like, they've helped me through that. And you know, they're having the 1 day a week in here is kind of, I actually look forward to it, because it's like I can come in and kind of catch up with, you know, the centre, like the supports here in the centre, if I'm having a bad week, or you know, if things aren't going right in my volunteering role, I'll meet with my course director or whatever, and she'll go through it with me, like, okay, what isn't working for you, you know, like a lot of CBT goes on. It's great. Like, it's just, I can't kind of shout from the rooftops enough how much this place has really supported me in my career, you know.
Well, thanks so much, Kieran. Such a great ambassador, and we really appreciate your comments today. I'm just kind of noticing there that we're running out of time and we don't want it to just cut. So we have lots more questions, which I think we said we'd get the answers to an email to everybody afterwards. And also we have info@LNN.ie if you want to send in any questions, and obviously our social media are very active. So I just wanted to say thank you so much for joining in your hundreds today and staying on and keeping your attention. And thank you so much to all of our presenters, and particularly our two students, Micheál and Ciara, who are just absolutely fantastic and a real lived experience of what we're all trying to do here every day. And thank you to Amanda and Lorna and Anne-Marie as well, and everybody in the team. And thank you so much to everyone else. And of course, any questions at all, just give us an email and we'll thank you. We hope you see another one of these very soon. Thank you.
Thanks everyone for joining. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.